Okay, during the last week, we started business organization, the third lesson, and we discussed about business classification according to objectives, scales, and management procedures. And then we discussed about classification of business organization based on the ownership, objective, and scale. And then we discuss about sole proprietorship. Okay, so today I'm going to quickly sum up it, and let's start today's lesson. Okay, so what is a business organization? So business organization is generally a unit that consists of an individual or group of individuals working together for what? To produce goods and services to fulfill human needs and wants. So that is what we understand as a business organization. So business organizations are classified into three things, mainly based on the ownership, objective, and scale. Okay, ownership, objective, and scale. So based on the ownership, we have mainly private sector business organizations and public sector business organizations. Private sector organizations are owned by individuals or group of individuals, whereas public sector business organizations are owned by the government. So we categorize them into a diagram like this, and we learned in the private sector. So we have the business organization. In the private sector, we have sole proprietorship, partnership, incorporated companies, cooperative societies, and other associations. Whereas in the public sector, we have businesses under the central government, provincial council, and local government institutions, for example, departments, state corporations, and state companies. So we wrote the note. And then we learned we are going to classify the businesses based on the objectives. The objectives will know businesses can classify. What are the for profit business and not for profit business? Profit oriented business and not for profit businesses. So business organization for profit businesses include private and public companies, sole proprietorship, partnership, incorporated companies, and public companies include state companies. And then not-for-profit businesses, what are they? Private companies include cooperative societies and other associations. Then public companies include state corporations and departments. So for profit business and not-for-profit business. Okay. Then we learned based on the scale of the businesses also, we do a classification that includes small and medium scale businesses and large scale businesses. So to classify to those, we consider amount of capital invested, number of employees, amount of energy use, and market share of that business. Okay. So we learned about it, and then we learned about the sole proprietorship. අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත sole proprietorship කියන්නේ if a business is owned by a single individual, there is only one owner, then we identify it as sole proprietorship. Okay, only one owner, then we identify it as sole proprietorship. Okay, so that is the most common business organization globally. Okay, because it's simple and you don't need a lot of capital for that. Okay, and it's very easy to make decisions, and likewise. Okay, so characters of sole proprietorship, we learned about characters. Okay, capital is provided by single person, that is a owner. Okay, and profit or losses to be borne alone. Profit එකක් තිබොත් ඒකත් තමන්ට, loss එකක් තිබොත් that is also තමන්ට. And then unlimited liability of the owner. We learned unlimited of the liability of the owner means if something goes wrong, okay, the liability is not limited to owner's capital. Owner ගේ ගෙදර තියෙන දේවලුත් විකුණන්න ඕනේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ assets උත් liquidate කරලා තමයි මේ liability එක ගෙවන්න වෙන්නේ. Then no legal personality. No legal personality කියන්නේ business එකේ නමින් contract sign කරන්න බෑ. Right? There is no legal personality, and there is no continued existence. For example, when the owner dies, business dies. Okay, not mandatory to register. Sole proprietorships are not mandatory to register. Okay, then ability to take decisions alone. So in sole proprietorship, there is only one owner, so he can make the decisions very quickly and easily. Okay. Controlling is done by the owner, and owner has the opportunity to discontinue the business at any time he requires. Okay, so owner has the control and he can do whatever he wish at any time he wish. Okay. So advantages of sole proprietorship. What are the advantages? Okay, it's convenient to start. Okay, because you need not to register. Okay, and then all the profits belong to the owner. All the profits. Come a profit site owner. Privacy of the business information is secure. Okay, business information, the privacy is secure. Then ability to use own skills at the best. Okay, ඔයාගේ skills ටික හොඳටම පාවිච්චි කරන්න. Then independent decision making. Right? Then disadvantages of sole proprietorship. Then what are the disadvantages of sole proprietorship? Unlimited liability of the owner. ඕනට unlimited liability එකක් තියෙනවා. තම මොන හරි වුණොත් එහෙම business එකේ තියෙන assets, තමන්ගේ assets ඒ ඔක්කොම ඉක්වරන්න වෙනවා. මොකද capital එකට ඕනගේ capital එකට liability එක restricted වෙන්නේ. Then difficulties in raising capital. Okay, it's very difficult because only you are there. Okay, and no continued existence. If something happens to you, who will look after your business? Nobody. Okay, because only you are there. You are the owner. Then no legal personality. You can go and sign contracts. නීතිය ඉදිරියේ පුද්ගලයෙක් විදිහට පෙනී හිටින්න බෑ. Individual decision of the owner can be unsuccessful. Sometimes if you are not, now let's say you did something wrong or your decision was not successful, then what happened? Everything will wash away. Okay, so we wrote the note. Okay, and that's it. Now today we are going to learn about partnership. Okay, we learned about sole proprietorship and now we are going to learn about partnership. මොනවද මේ partnerships කියලා කියන්නේ? Okay. The relationship among persons conducting a business is a common with a common objective to earn profit is known as a partnership. Okay, so there are group of individuals who are conducting a business. Okay, and they have a very common objective. Okay, then we call it a partnership. කට්ටියක් එකතු වෙලා එකම objective එකකට මොන හරි business එකක් කරනවා නම් ඒක අපි partnership එකක් කියලා කියනවා. මේ partnerships govern වෙන්නේ partnership ordinance of 1890. Okay, the partnership කියන එකට legally නීතිය පැත්තෙන් බලපානවත් වෙන්නේ partnership ordinance of 1890 කියන එක තමයි බලපාන්නේ. Professionals such as accountants, lawyers, tax officers, and doctors may conduct their practice as a partnership. For example, let's say group of accountants. Okay, they join and conduct maybe audit firm. Group of lawyers get together and conduct some lawyers practice. Then tax officers get together and put a tax advisory firm. Okay, they can get together. Jointly do a business. Okay, here a set of chartered accountants carrying out an audit for example. Okay, so let's look at what are the characteristics of partnership business. Okay, අපි දැන් බලමු මොනවද මේ partnership business එකක characters මොනවද කියලා බලමු. Okay, now let's see what are the characteristics of partnership business. Partnership business එකක තියෙන characteristics monad. Okay, so number of members in the partnership. So these are very examinable. You can sometimes there can be MCQ questions. How many partners can be there in a partnership? Minimum is 2 and maximum is 20 according to Companies Act number 7 of 2007. So if it is a partnership, you can have only 2 to 20 members. Minimum being 2, maximum being 20. Okay, and partnership agreement. A partnership begins with an agreement in the partners known as partnership agreement. Okay, this agreement can be written, oral or implied. Now the important thing is to start a partnership you should have a partnership agreement. Partnership business එකක් පටන් ගන්න you should have a partnership agreement. A partnership agreement එක it can be written. Okay, it can be you have written it, or else you have oral cutting කියලා තමයි මේක කියලා. You have just said okay 20% belongs to you, 20% belongs to the other partner, and the remaining 60% belongs to me. Okay, likewise. Okay, or implied, they are not telling or they have not written but they have implied okay ඔයාට නිකන් මේ වගේ percentage එකක් profit එකට එනවා. Likewise, okay, it could be written, oral or implied. Okay, examinable. So you should remember this. According to Prevention of Fraud Ordinance, if the initial capital of partnership exceed 1,000, partnership must be established under a written agreement known as partnership deed. So if according to fraud ordinance, prevention of fraud ordinance එකට අනුව initial capital එක partnership එකක 1000ට වැඩි නම් then they should establish a written agreement. Okay, why is that? Because only when things are written only you can find it as evidence, or else no, I didn't say something like that, I didn't imply something like that. But if it is written and signed, nobody can say no, I didn't say something like this. Likewise, okay. Then unlimited liability of partners. Partnership also, what happens is if something goes wrong, partnership, it is not limited to a particular partner's capital, but rather partner should pay everything. Okay, they are liable. So not mandatory to register a partnership. Not mandatory to register a partnership. Partnerships are not necessary for registration. If a partnership is conducted under full names of all the partners, it is not required to register. If the partnership is conducted under a different name, business name should be registered. Now, there is a provision. Okay? Register of the respective provincial council is the authorized officer to register business names. Okay. Now let's say partnership එකක් තියෙනවා. මේක කරන්නේ partners ලගේ full name වලින්. Okay. Then you need not to register it. But if that business is conducting in a different name, partners lage full names නෙමෙයි, but you are using different names, then you must register it. Okay. Then from where are you going to register this? Provincial council එකේ තමයි මේ business එක register කරන්න ඕනේ. Okay. And there is no separate legal identity. In sole proprietorship also, there was no separate legal identity. Separate legal identity එකක් නැහැ. A partnership is not considered as a legal person in front of the law. නීතිය ඉදිරියේ පුද්ගලයෙක් වශයෙන් පෙනී ඉන්න බෑ. A partnership is unable to perform any legal activities in its business name. So simply, you cannot do any legal activity in the business name. Okay. Partners are required to use their personal names in the legal matters. Partners again වලින් තමයි මේක කරන්න වෙන්නේ. No continued existence. If the existence of partnership will cease due to the death of a partner or partner being mentally unstable. Partners ලා නැති වුණාම partnership එක නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Let's say a partnership is dependent on the skill set of one partner. Okay, it's a software business. One person is a software engineer and other person is a salesman. Let's say something bad happened to that software engineer. Then what happens? That the software development part will not happen. Okay, so it will cease to exist. The partnership will cease to exist. Okay, let's move on to next slide. Advantages of partnership business. මොනවද partnership business එකක තියෙන advantages? Okay. Okay, before that, shall we write this down? Let's write this down. Put the subheading as partnership business, and let's write this: the relationship among persons to conduct a business in a common with an objective to earn profit is known as a partnership. The partnership ordinance of 1890 affects the partnerships. The professionals such as accountants, lawyers, tax officers, and doctors may also conduct their practice as a partnership. Okay, for example, a set of chartered accountants carrying out an audit firm. Okay, take a couple of minutes and write this. Okay, then let's move on to writing the characteristics of partnership business. So I will read this out and then please write this down. Number of members in the partnership, minimum 2 and maximum 20 according to the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Then partnership agreement. Partnership begins with an agreement among its partners known as partnership agreement. This agreement can be written, oral, or implied. Please highlight this. Okay. According to Prevention of Fraud Ordinance, if the capital of the partnership exceeds rupees 1,000, then partnerships must be established under written agreement known as partnership deed. Okay. Then unlimited liability of the partners. There is unlimited liability of the partners, and it's not mandatory to register a partnership. Okay. Partnership is not mandatory to register if a partnership, but there are provisions. Okay. If a partnership is conducted under the full names of all partners, it is not required to register. If a partnership is conducted under a different name, that business name should be registered. Okay. So if there is a different name, it should be registered. So who is the respective authorized officer? The registrar of the respective provincial council is the authorized officer to register the business names. Okay. So no separate legal entity. Partnership is not considered as a legal person in front of the law, and partnership is unable to perform any legal activities in its business name, and partners are required to use personal names in legal matters. So they have to use their personal name in the legal matters, and there is no continued existence. Okay. The existence of partnership will be ceased due to the death of the partner or partner being mentally unstable. Okay, take a couple of minutes and write this. Okay, now let's look at what are the advantages of partnership business. So we learned about the characters of partnership business, and let's learn about advantages of partnership business. So it's convenient to start. Okay, because legal regulations pertaining to the commencement and the conduct of partnerships are comparatively low. ඒ කියන්නේ පාර්ට්නර්ෂිප් එකක් පටන් ගන්න සාමාන්‍යයෙන් තියෙන ලීගල් බෑග්ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් එක හරීම ලොකු කරදරයක් නැතුව පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. So it's very easy to start. Okay. And they can raise more capital. Since the partnership consists of 2 or more members, they can raise more capital compared to sole proprietorship. They can raise more capital. Can utilize different skills of partners. Can utilize different skills of partners. So partners can use different skills. එක එක අයගේ තියෙන skills ගන්න පුළුවන්. You can get 20 members on board. So you can have 20 skills at least. Okay. And shared liability among partners. Now, when the partnership is happening, you can share the liability of the partnership among the partners. අපි sole proprietor එකක් එහෙම මොන හරි අවුලක් ගියොත් එහෙම වරදක් වුණොත් තමන් මේක bear කරන්න ඕනේ. But here you can share the liability among partners. Okay. Then can take collective decisions. තනියම තීරණ ගන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Collectively decision එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. So you will be safe. Okay. So these are the advantages of partnership business. It's convenient to start. පටන් ගන්න ලේසි. මොකද තියෙන legal background එක ගොඩාක් බෑරුම් නැහැ. Right? So, and can raise more capital because there are more members. And they can use different skills of partners because they have a lot of partners. And they share liability among partners. Partners අතර liability එකත් share වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම they can take collective decisions. Okay. They can take collective decisions. So let's write it down. Advantages of partnership business, and please write them. Okay, so we learned about advantages of partnership, and now let's learn about disadvantages of partnership. අපි එතකොට ඉගෙන ගත්තා characters of partnership, advantages of partnership, and now we are going to learn about disadvantages of partnership. Unlimited liability of the owners. Okay, owners or partners. Let's say owners/partners. Now, partners in a partnership are also unlimited liable regarding the debt of the business. අර partnership එකකදීත් unlimited liability එකක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. තමන් දාපු capital එකට නෙමෙයි liability එක restrict වෙන්නේ. Okay. And profits are shared among partners. ලොකු profit එකක් තිබුණොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඒක you have to share among partners. Okay. and conflicts among partners. Now, කට්ටියක් එකතු වෙලා වැඩ කරද්දී මොකද වෙන්න පුළුවන්? සමහරක් වෙලාවට there could be little bit of like problems, conflicts. So that is a disadvantage. And no continued existence. Our partnership එකකදී partnership එකක් dissolve කරන්න පුළුවන් due to a death of partner. Okay, or else partner is mentally unstable. Because of that, partnership can end, and there is no legal personality. It cannot sign of, it cannot be present in front of law as a legal person. Okay, so those are the disadvantages, and please write this down. And I think these are pretty straightforward, and we have already learned about these in the characteristics. So you can take a couple of minutes and write this down. Okay, now we are going to learn about a new thing. Okay, we learned about the partnerships. So we learned about what is a partnership. Okay, partnership is a relationship among persons conducting the business in common who have the objective to earn profits. Okay, and it's incorporated like the legal regulation that is overweaving partnership is the Partnership Ordinance of 1890. Okay, and then we learned about the characteristics of partnership, and then what are the advantages of partnership. Okay, and then we learn about the disadvantages of partnership, and now we are going to learn about incorporated companies. Okay, this is a new thing. So a firm which is registered under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007, okay, with a legal personality and can raise capital by issuing shares, and the liability of the shareholders being limited, is an incorporated company. එතකොට මොකක්ද මේ incorporated company එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ? So incorporated company එකක් කියන්නේ එකක්, one, it is registered under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. අනිවාර්යෙන් registered company එකක් වෙන්නේ, it should be registered under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. And it has a legal personality. Now, unlike partnerships or sole proprietorship, they can present in front of law as a person. Okay, and they can enter into contracts, and they have a legal personality. And then they can raise capital by issuing shares. Now, earlier we discussed all the time capital was almost restricted to amount of like individuals in the business. If the sole proprietor, one person. Then if partnership, number of partners. But here they can raise capital by issuing shares. Shares issue කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලාත් කියනවා. හරිද? ඊට පස්සේ liability of the shareholders being limited. මේකෙදි නම් මේ shareholders ලගේ liability එක limited කියනවා. අපි කලින් කතා වුණ හැම එකකදීම liability එක unlimited. ඒ කියන්නේ තමන් යොදවපු capital එකට වඩා liability එක තියෙනවා. හදිස්සියේ මොන හරි වුණොත් ගෙදර තියෙන දේවල් විකුණලා assets උත් විකුණලා තමයි මේ liability එක cover up කරන්න වෙන්නේ. හැබැයි incorporated company එක හැමතිස්සෙම liability of the shareholders is limited. So owners of these limited companies are known as shareholders. මේ limited companies ලා owners ට අපි කියනවා shareholders කියලා. හරිද? ඊට පස්සේ the liability is limited to the amount they have paid or liable to pay for the shares they have purchased. මේ එයාලගේ තියෙන අර share holding එකට තමයි එයාලට වගකීම තියෙන්නේ. අපි හිතමුකෝ මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණා කියලා. එතකොට එයාලා රුපියල් ලක්ෂයක් share holding එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ ලක්ෂයට තමයි එයාලට වග කියන්න වෙන්නේ. ලක්ෂ දෙකක් පාඩුවක් වුණා නම් එයාගේ තියෙන්නේ අපි හිතමු shareholders ගේ තියෙන ලක්ෂයයි කියලා. එතකොට ඒ ලක්ෂයට තමයි shareholder වග කියන්නේ. ඊටු ටිකට වග කියන්නේ නැහැ. හරිද? එතකොට මේක ටිකක් අලුත්. මොනවාද ಜಾති හතරක් තියෙනවා අනිවාර්යෙන් මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. මේක රෙජිස්ටර් වෙලා තියෙනවා company number act number 7 of 2007 වල. එතකොට legal personality එකක් තියෙනවා. They can raise capital by issuing shares, and the liability of the shareholder is limited. Okay, so those are the things, and let's write it down. Take a couple of minutes, put the subheading as incorporated companies. I will read this out. A firm which is registered under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007 with a legal personality can raise capital by issuing shares, and the liability of the shareholders being limited is an incorporated company. The owners of these limited companies are shareholders. Their liability is limited to the amount they have paid or liable to pay for the shares they have purchased. Okay, so that's it. And please write the note. Okay, now we know what is incorporated business or incorporated company. And let's look at what are the characteristics of incorporated companies. Incorporated companies have some set of characteristics that are common among all the incorporated companies. Okay, so incorporation under Companies Act. Okay, මේ incorporated companies හැම එකක්ම incorporate කරන්නේ Companies Act එකට අනුව තමයි incorporate කරන්නේ. In order to commence an incorporated company, it is required to be incorporated under Companies Act number 7 of 2007. As per the provisions in the Act, the duly completed relevant documents should be submitted to Register of Companies. එතකොට Companies Act එක තියෙන්නේ Companies Act number 7 of 2007 කියන එක යටතේ තමයි මේක register කරන්නේ. ඒ වගේම ඒ Companies Act එකේ තියෙන provisions වලට අනුව document submit කරන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට ඒ කියලා තියෙන documents ටික තමයි submit කරන්න ඕනේ. Then continued existence. Okay, continued existence. Since the company is considered a separate legal entity from its owners, the death or bankruptcy of shareholders does not affect the continuity of its business activities. Okay. එතකොට company එක ගත්තම company එක separate legal entity එකක් නේ. මෙයාට පුළුවන් contracts වලට sign කරන්න, මෙයාට පුළුවන් නීති ඉදිරියේ පුද්ගලයෙක් විදිහට පෙනී සිටින්න. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා ඒ කියන්නේ මොනවා හරි දෙයකට මෙයාට company එකේ නමින් යන්න පුළුවන්. legal activity එකකට යන්න පුළුවන් company එක නමින්. එතකොට මොන හරි contracts එතකොට ඕනම දෙයකට. හරිද? ඒ දෙකදී company එකේ නමින් යන්න පුළුවන් නිසා shareholders ට මොන හරි කරදරයක් වුණත් හැබැයි අර company එක නමින් continued existence එකක් තියෙනවා. Then ability to register with limited liability make ගොඩාක් important there. Okay, shareholders have limited liability for a company's debt and other liabilities. Their liability is confined to the value of shares they have purchased, meaning they are not required to use their private properties to cover business debts, unlike sole proprietorship and partnership. Then අපි කතා වුණානේ මේ incorporated companies වල share issuing එකක් තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට shares තමයි ගන්න කියලා. එතකොට මේ share එකට තමයි යාළගේ liability එක තියෙන්නේ. අර මම කලින් කතා වුණා වගේ මොන හරි loss එකක් වුණත් අර purchase කරපු shares වලට තමයි මේ liability එක limited වෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ හිතන්න ලක්ෂ 5ක loss එකක් වුණා. නමුත් shareholder ගේ limited එක shareholder එක තියෙන්නේ ලක්ෂ 2යි කියලා. එතකොට ඇත්තටම අර ලක්ෂ 2 යොදවපු එක තමයි යාට නැති වෙන්නේ. අර ලක්ෂ 5ක් හානියක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම sole proprietorship නැත්නම් partnership තමන්ගේ වත්කම් විකුණන හරියට ලක්ෂ 5 ගෙවන්න ඕන. Right? Okay. Then can raise capital by issuing shares. They can issue shares to raise capital. Capital raise කරන්න පුළුවන් share issue කරලා. So let's take couple of minutes and write it characteristics of incorporated companies and write them down. Okay. Now let's look at what are the advantages of the incorporated company. So we learned about the characteristics, and now let's see what are the advantages. මොනවද තියෙන වාසි? Okay. So incorporated companies, they can raise more capital because they can issue shares. A high level of capital can be raised by issuing shares. Additionally, incorporated companies are more widely recognized, making it easier for them to secure loans from external parties. එයාලට capital raise කරන්න පුළුවන් ගොඩක් එකක් because they can issue shares and they can take loans easily because they can be present as separate legal entities. Okay. Then receiving a legal personality. Okay. So company is considered as a legal person in presence of law. Therefore, a company can enter into contracts, can appoint agents, can acquire assets, and can pay taxes in its name. එතකොට මේ legal personality එකක් වුණාම තියෙන වාසි. එයාලට පුළුවන් company කෙනාගෙම contracts වලට යන්න පුළුවන්, agents ලා appoint කරන්න පුළුවන්, assets ගන්න පුළුවන්. හිතන්න මොන හරි building එකක් ගන්න ඕනේ වුණොත් company එකේ නමට ගත්තකි. Right? Then they can pay taxes likewise. Continued existence. The death or bankruptcy of shareholder does not disrupt the continued existence of a company. Death එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් shareholders ලගේ bankruptcy එකක් වුණොත් එහෙම ඒක company එකේ continued existence එකට බලපාන්නේ නැහැ. හරිද? එයාලට company එකේ වැඩ ටික කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද company එකට වෙනම separate legal entity එකක් නේ, company එකට වෙනම separate legal presence එකක් තියෙනවා. දෙවෙනි එක, there are a lot of shareholders and owners ownership is limited to shareholding. Okay. Then limited liability, very very important thing. The liability of shareholders in an incorporated company is limited to the amount of capital they have invested. එයාලගේ liability එක තියෙන්නේ එයාලගේ capital එකට විතරයි. Okay, they are not required to sell their assets or anything to make the or to meet the company liabilities. Only their shareholding. Okay, managed by a board of directors. Board of directors. Okay. Business activities of a company are managed by board of directors who are selected and appointed by shareholders. දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් එimhe shareholders ලා කියන කට්ටිය owners ලානේ. ඒ shareholders ලා මේ company එකේ වැඩ ටික පවත්වාගෙන ගන්න board of directors ලා appoint කරනවා. ඒ board of directors තමයි මේ company එක manage කරන්නේ. එතකොට මෙයාලව appoint කරන්නේ, මෙයාලව select කරන්නේ, appoint කරන්නේ shareholders ලා. Okay, so advantages of incorporated company, there are 5 main things. One thing, they can raise more capital, okay, because they can issue shares, and they can also take loans. Now they have a separate legal personality, okay, so they can enter into contracts, acquire assets, pay taxes, appoint agents in its business name. So continued existence. Okay, limited liability. Liability of the shareholders is limited to the holding of their share. Shareholding එකට විතරක් limited. And then managed by a board of directors. It is managed by board of directors. So those are the advantages of incorporated companies. So take a couple of minutes and kindly write them down. So let's move on to the disadvantages of incorporated companies. What are the disadvantages of incorporated companies again? Greater level of legal provisions. Now, incorporated companies are not easy to start. You have to do a lot of legal work. According to the Company Act number 7 of 2007, you have to file different documents. Even after starting the company, you have to file different submissions, annual reports, financial reports, and even if you are planning to close the business, that is a separate process. Okay, so it is a difficult thing. Greater level of legal provisions. What does it mean? The legal requirements for starting, operating, and winding up company are more stringent, making it more complex to run limited companies compared to the forms of business organizations. Okay. Then the next thing, profit and ownership are share. Okay. So in a incorporated company that have large number of shares, what is happening is ownership and profits both are distributed among number of shareholders. එතකොට profit එකක් generate කරත් ඒක අනිත් අයටත් යනවා. Ownership එකත් අනිත් අයට යනවා. Okay, so those are considered as disadvantages. Okay, so let's take a couple of minutes and write this down. Please write this down. Put the subheading as disadvantages of incorporated companies.